Howdy, folks, and welcome to another day in the Milky Way. And tonight we got a great show for you with my co-host and the dog howling in the back for the audience, David Knoll, Hawkeye Two Feathers. Thank you for being here.
It's a Howling Tuesday, and greetings and blessings to all of y'all out there. And again, we always say thank you for coming and visiting with us. And we continue to pray that each and every day that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And tonight, our story is The Giant with Gray Feathers. Ooh. So if you can hang with us, that's going to be our story for tonight. So, and of course, we'll pick a card or two out of our lovely, medicine cards. So, hi, Robert. How are you?
I'm doing good. And you know what I got on tonight? I got my new shirt on, which is out of the R. Wayne Steiger collection, which Nina made up. As you can see, it's got the pretty thing on there. It says, so anyway, there you go. Get your R. Wayne Steiger over at Nina's merch shop on the Streamlabs. Link is right there. It's in the chat. It's a pinned comment. And over there, she just come up with a deal that if you buy something, you'll get a free sticker pack. I don't know exactly how it works, but you buy something, you're going to get free stickers. You got to go check it out. And it's the deal of the century. The only thing is that the Canadians are on strike with the Postal Service. How ironic is that? Anyway, check it all out. I'm sure she'll put some links in there too. And this is live, but I have no shoe. Why don't you have a shoe, Elderberry? No shoe for you. Yeah.
So add extra.
Huh?
Add extra postage, and she can send it carrier pigeon.
Carrier pigeon. There you go. She says free sticker pack with every purchase. Email me with the order number and the mailing address, and voila, you get a free sticker pack. Soon as the mail starts working again. Those underpaid Canadians are on strike. Oh, don't worry. They'll do whatever they want to them. They're banning their pea shooters and slapping them on the wrist and saying, now do what we say. So anyway, with all that in mind, we're going to talk about a great guy tonight. As you can see in the background here, I should go this way. It's Joseph Rutherford Walker, Joe Walker, as they would call him. And who was Joe Walker? Let me put him up on the screen as soon as I can find it here. I had it just a minute ago. Remember, I was complaining about it before the show. And, so anyhow, this is our guy. And my computer's working a little bit slow tonight, guys. So you got to bear with me. So screen share. And there we go. Joseph R. Walker. He was a trailblazer of the Sierras. Yeah, so that's who we're talking about tonight. And so who was this guy? Well, before the railroad, before the Pony Express, before California was a state, there was Joseph R. Walker, a man who blazed trails where no wagons had ever dared, who crossed the Sierra Nevada long before most people knew what lay on the other side. And he was a scout, a trapper, a pathfinder, and a living definition of American frontier. And tonight we explore his life, a man who helped carve the West into a land we know today, but whose name in history is too often forgotten. This is the untold story of Joseph R. Walker, the original trailblazer of the Southwest. That's who we're talking about tonight. Anyway, we got lots of stuff to talk about him. This is a more fitting picture. Of course, it takes a second or two to boot up. There we go. He lived to a ripe old age. So, who was he? Well, in his early life, Walker was born in 1798. Whew, that's pushing the century. In Roanoke County, Tennessee. Or Roane. Maybe it's Roane County. He was raised on the frontier. Well, of course, at that time, that was the frontier. And Walker grew up during a time when America was rapidly expanding westward. He learned his wilderness survival early and became an expert trapper, scout, and interpreter. All skills that would shape his future as a legendary frontiersman. Well, as you can see, he looks like a frontiersman from the picture. Well, he went and decided to become a mountain man, do the fur trading thing. Walker got his start in the fur trade alongside figures like Jedediah Smith and William Sublette, who we talked about both these guys on the show before. So if you don't know who they are, go back a couple of shows. By the 1820s, he had become seasoned trapper operating in the Rocky Mountains and the Southwest. He was deeply familiar with Native American tribes and trails, rivers, and survival techniques. He was known for his fairness and diplomacy with tribes such as the Shoshone, the Ute, the Paiute, the Navajo, and the Apache. Rather than confront, Walker often negotiated. His knowledge of languages made him a key peacekeeper and mediator in the field. And as we talked about before, knowing multiple languages or even one language was very helpful, because if you could talk to the Indians, well, you were the bridge between the two worlds. You get paid good too, so don't shake a stick at that, right?
Yeah, and if you knew how to chat, your chances of getting scalped were a lot less too.
Well, yeah. I mean, you could broker peace deals. You could work for the government. You could trade between different tribes. Especially when if they kind of captured you or something. Me friend. Not your enemy. Although I think some tribes were way more kinder to the trappers than others. So anyway, where does this story begin? Walker's and what was he known for? That's what we're getting at. So Walker's best known for leading an expedition from the Great Salt Lake area into California via the Sierra Nevada mountains. And we'll take a look at that picture in a second here. And here's the trail, the Spanish Trail. And that goes from Santa Fe all the way up through Colorado, through Utah, and down through into Nevada, and then over yonder into California. So there you go. I don't know if I got a better picture. Let me check. Yes, I do. And here's the map, so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay. He blazed what would become the Walker Pass. So if you ever went through the Sierra Nevada mountains, you may see a pass called Walker Pass. He was the one that carved that out and discovered it. It was a critical route through the southern Sierras. And I don't know if it's on here exactly, but it probably is on the other one. In 1833, he joined Joseph Bonneville's expedition. And now we talked about Bonneville before, too. So anyway, I think we did. Expedition in he was second in command, which is pretty cool. He and his men became the first Americans to transverse the Sierra Nevadas from east to west with a large party and horses. The route eventually became a key part of the California Trail used by settlers and the U.S. Army. His descriptions of California's Central Valley, rivers, and resources would later inspire mass migration west. So it was all his fault everybody went to California. Blame it on him. It's kind of funny, but it's kind of true. What he did after that was he did more expeditions and surveyor work. And as we know, surveyor work is very dangerous because you're out there surveying. You really are kind of out there. You're going through lands where you don't know what's going on, and the Indians hate you, and they want to kill you off. So you could be killed anytime. So in the 1840s, Walker was hired by John C. Fremont. Now, we've heard of Fremont before. He teamed up with Kit Carson a lot and others as a scout and a guide, helping with surveys and route planning. And no doubt he probably met Kit Carson and was buddies with him, just along with John Fremont and probably several others. He guided parties across the Colorado Plateau into New Mexico, and he helped solidify trail maps. Now, remember, trail maps are very important because at this point in time in history, there was no map. There was no map to look at like this to even get your bearings. You know, I mean, they were doing maps like that. Hey, look at this. This is probably a real detailed map to them. You know, I mean, can you imagine? Here, follow your way. You know, it ain't like you just go down 94 here and then you get off at this exit. There's an exit here, and then there's a wayside. Well, you can get some water and the bathroom break, you know, and then you get up into here into Colorado in the mountains, and there's some runoffs in case your wagon decides to go down the ravine, you know. None of that was there. This is trailblazing, literally. I mean, wagon ruts, landslides, mountain lions, bears, Indian attacks, the whole 9 yards through here.
Yeah, can I bring up something? Look how far north they went to go south and west.
Yep.
And
yeah, they went up all the way into Colorado, Utah.
Yeah. So
well, Arizona is a dry area. This would be dry. This would be like a desert.
Right. Well, there's deserts in Colorado. I mean, you know, Utah, the Great Salt Lake, you know, it's pretty flat and deserty kind of thing. So, but in looking at it though, the reason I would say is that there were fewer hostile Indians north. That would be my guess. Fewer, because when the further south you went, you start getting into Muscaleros and the Apache, and you know, so when you were going further north, you know, you could chat with those folks before you got killed.
Yep.
That's my supposition. Why would you go that far? I mean, that's thousands of miles out of your way. And why would you go that way versus just going straight west? Engines. Okay.
That too. Well,
I just wanted to point that out. That just okay.
Yeah, the different tribes. Elderberry's saying, he says, look, must have been pretty awesome. No tar, no cement, no fence, no signs, no. The Apache did raids that far off. The Apache did raids that far off. But here's the point. You know, he's right. There's none of this stuff. This is what we live on today. You remember, there's no bathrooms, no hot running water. There's no pharmacy. There's no hotel to stay at. Hey, you break your wagon, it's broken. You need to fix it on the trail. You know, you run out of food, there's no store either. You know, if your lamp oil runs out, well, you can't get into that either. Your food, your water, there ain't no sign up ahead that says watering hole next 20 miles. You just wander along, and you hope the guy that you talked to said the right things to get to the right place. And then if you got lost, well, the Indians are going to get you. The bears are going to get you. You know, what if you run out of ammo? It ain't like you can go down to your local, gun store and get yourself some more ammo, right?
And if you've seen the desert situations and the open prairie, if you run out of ammo, you couldn't even get a stick to defend yourself with. A rock, okie doke.
Yeah, there are some benefits. He says Elderberry says the pharmacy was the nature around you, and he's right. But what if you were from the city, and you were going west to make it anew? You don't know these things unless you have a good trail guide. You don't know this. People they're not born knowing what plant is what. And many people probably picked the wrong berry or picked the wrong mushroom and went, heels up, put it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great to be out there. Trust me, I've been out west. I went 20 miles out in the wilderness of the Rocky Mountains, packed a horse, went with my buddy, me and him, and we seen grizzly bear tracks, and it kind of didn't scare me so much as it did him, because I really hadn't seen much for bears or nothing. But he was iffy, and I realized it wasn't this glamorous ride. The scenery was beautiful. It was wonderful to go. But here's the but part. It was romantically beautiful with a tinge of, oh shit, put in there, because if you would fall, get hurt, something, there's no rescue party. Was my buddy gonna get on the horse and run as fast as he can 20 miles to get help? There's nobody out there to help, and be like, oh, and there's nothing but rocks all around. I mean, it's really eye-opening how desolate it is, how alone you really are, and how helpless you could become in an instant. And we went out there to say, oh man, if the world went to crap, we'd bug out, and we'd go out here, and this is where we could survive. Well, guess what? I think it'd probably be a different animal, because there wasn't like it wasn't like going to the Garden of Eden where we're just picking apples and berries and going, wow, this is wonderful, I could stay here forever. I think we seen like a couple of deer the whole entire time. We you could see for miles. The water was great, but the boulders crossing it was cold, and who knows if there was any fish. I guess there was. We seen some fish swimming around, but still, the thing is if you decide to stop and fish, you're consuming a bunch of your day where it was hard, because just even stopping for a campsite, we had to gather firewood and cut it and pile it and carry it, and then get water and lug it from the river. Yeah, and it was a lot of work, put it that way.
Yep.
Yeah, and the more tired we got, it made everything harder and harder and harder every step we took. I'm telling you, by the time we got back, we were glad to be back in the comforts of a camp with other people, places. You don't know how when we got back, we knew things were good because we could sit down at a picnic table. That's how small our world became. A picnic table was like being in a 5-star hotel.
And also, now having been in um, um, yeah, far away places, having a hand pump, the old timey, sure enough, hand pump to get water. Up in North Georgia and some of those places, you've got there's um, a campsite with no running water. They got a pit toilet, and they've got a hand pump. But if you've not had either of those, a pit toilet, no matter how bad it smells, and a hand pump for water, oh, it's like going to the Waldorf Astoria.
Yep. Yeah. No, I agree. When I was at the campground, they had a hand pump there, and we had to pump just to get the water, and then we had to carry it back to camp in buckets or jugs, and it was like, oh, and then taking a shower. You know, have you ever taken a shower out in the wilderness?
Yep.
It's, you know, you getting
Difficult.
warm water to, yes. When you don't realize it until you're getting water all over you and the wind starts blowing, and it may be 80 degrees out, but you're putting cold water on you, it starts to evaporate and makes you, by the time you get out of here, you just goosebumps everywhere, and you're just shaking, and you're cold, and you're thinking, oh, I feel clean, but it's 90 degrees and I'm freezing. River
Yeah.
water ain't warm. Especially when you're not used to it. Put it that way.
And there and the times you get all nice and clean, and then a dust storm comes up and just pelts you with dirt, and it's like, why did I do that? Why did I go through all
Oh,
that trouble?
well, you're right, because it was so dry when we were there that just your foot hitting the dirt made a poof of dust, and we were coated with it. And of course, there was fires, out west. There's always seems to be fires and lots of smoke, and so you're choking on the smoke, and it's in your hair, in your nose. It's on you, it's everywhere. It's like, this is horrible. And then you wash off and you feel good for a little while, probably about 2-3 hours, and then after that it seems to go away.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway,
Living
let's
on the
get.
trail in the old days was not so glamorous as some folks would like to make it. Living on the trail is hard. That's all there is
It
to it.
is. There's a
Oh,
freeness
that's
about
what I
it,
was.
but it's a
Let,
lot of work.
you brought up something, and having been, I've not been horseback riding like you have, but I've been out hiking and get back to the camp, and the sun's going down, and you've been gone all day long and everything, and you still have to schlep firewood to the fire, and you still got to, make something to eat. You still got to do all these things. I
Yeah.
have often thought about those pioneers must have stayed. They must have been eternally tired. I mean, they
I
must have
think
just been bodily tired all the time because they never got a chance to rest.
they didn't. Yeah. And they were so much tougher than we are today.
Oh yeah,
They were tough. I mean, to do what they did out and then sleep outside and be outside, and then, like you said, they're walking, they're carrying, they're getting, searching for every meal, every campfire, every bit of their day is survival, survival, survival. I mean, you work your way up to it, but uh tired, yes. And what else I want to say with that? Tired, and the endurance, because after we got back, I was so tired. I was just like, oh, you know that them last few miles, I was so happy to be back to camp in a way. But hey, it is what it is.
and then and again, I've not been a horse pack person. Would like to. I'm getting a little old, but um, then you got to get back and you got to get your saddles off. You got to take care of your horses. And so
Yep.
you ain't done. You can say, well, I'm back to camp, and but no, you got chores to do. And that's sort of my point. And, just hiking or even bike hiking, you get back and you put your bike up against the tree or whatever, and you got to look around. I still got to start a fire, and I still got to do this and that. And a lot of times you grab a piece of jerky and fall asleep.
Yeah. Yeah. You're too tired to eat. Anyway, let's get back to the thing, or we're just going to be talking about camping.
Go ahead.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. Walker, he worked with the Mormon Battalion, and he advised the U.S. Army officers during the Mexican-American War, and he mentored young explorers. He interacted with the native tribes, too. Jackson, well, what did he do with the natives? Well, Walker had extensive contact with numerous tribes. The Shoshone, he maintained mostly peaceful trade relations. The Ute, he worked around their territory in Utah and Colorado. And the Paiute often guided troops through their harsh terrain. The Navajo and the Apache navigated their homelands in Arizona and New Mexico with caution and skill. He was known for cultural respect and avoidance of unnecessary conflict. Yeah. Well, as he goes along, his legacy, the Walker River, the Walker Lake, Walker Pass in California, and Nevada are named after him. He died in 1876 in Walnut Creek, California, largely overlooked by history books, but never forgotten by those who knew the land he helped map. Joseph R. Walker lived to see wagons, railroads, settlers cross the same mountains he once faced alone. Now let's look back at his life. He was born in 1798, born in Roane County, Tennessee. In 1820s, he joined the Rocky Mountain Fur Trade as one of Ashley's 100. In 1833, he led Bonneville Party west to California. In 1834, he discovered the Walker Pass across the Sierra Nevadas. And in 1840, he guided multiple U.S. expeditions across the Southwest. And in 1846 to 1848, isn't that the gold rush? He worked during the Mexican-American War and aided the U.S. forces. 49ers, that's what it was. And 1860s, right. In 1860s, he retired to California. And in 1876, he died at the age of 78. So, pretty long-lived guy. Like I said, we got lots of pictures of him. I'm glad he got a little bit of retirement, but I bet you, Buck, he did miss the mountains. Now, I don't know if he could write. Maybe he could. Maybe he couldn't. You notice the guys that are most talked about and well-known are the ones that kept journals and wrote lengthy bits or stuff like that. So maybe he wasn't a writer, and that's why he's not so well-known. Okay. So, what's his story?
But 10 cents worth, in order to be a surveyor and a scout, he had to have been able to read and write. So he just may not have been. He had to kept at least bare journals. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'm saying, okay, maybe he. What I'm trying to say is maybe he wasn't a writer. He might have been. Maybe he could write, but then he didn't. Create these journals like these other guys.
Right.
Did.
I agree. He knew how to, and that's what I wanted to, stipulate. He could read and write so that he could keep a journal as far as surveying and that type of stuff. But by the end of the day, he didn't want to. He wasn't writing chapters in a book,
Yeah, where some of these guys wrote down their adventure. We marched into the woods, 5 guys on my left and 3 on my right. And as the the branches broke. The grizzly bear came through the woods, and
Yep.
attacked one of us, throwing him to the ground as the giant paws of the grizzly with the big claws came out, marring and brawling with him as he crunched his head in between his massive jaws of the 1,800-pound animal. Now people read that up pretty fast, but that's kind of how it goes. Remember, some of those
Yep.
guys were big storytellers too.
Right. So, and that's a for real picture of him.
Yep. Yes, it is.
Okay.
Even signed here on the bottom. If we
Um,
look up on it, you can see here Joseph J.R. Walker.
That's some pretty good handwriting there. The reason I ask is because just looking at the picture, he looks partially Native American. He looks like he's got some Native American blood in him.
That I do not know. I do not know. Sorry.
It's just an observation because looking at some of the other pictures we've had, it's these cheekbones,
Yeah.
So, but anyway, I was just curious. And back in those days, because I got Cherokee blood in me too, so it's like, and from Tennessee, Kentucky, for me too. So if he was from Tennessee, there was a likelihood that there was a mixed marriage going along. But anyway, I digress. I'm sorry.
Okay, so here's a story about him. In the late autumn in 1833, the Sierra Nevada loomed ahead in an impenetrable wall of stone and snow. Walker stood at the base of the range, squinting into the glare of the midday sun, bouncing off the peaks. He turned to his men, some of whom were grumbling, others simply silent and cold and with hunger. "We'll find a way through," he said. They didn't believe it was possible. No one had ever brought horses over those mountains in the winter. But Walker wasn't just a trapper. He was a navigator of the impossible. And for 2 weeks, they hacked, they climbed, and crawled their way through what would become known as Walker Pass. Their only shelter, the rocks, and their only food, whenever they could hunt or scrape from the frozen earth. When they emerged into the rolling hills of California, they made history, but they didn't know it yet. So there you go. Hang on, it seems like there's more to it than this. Okay. Anyway, where is the rest of the story? I had it here. Now it's gone. Anyway, you could just say that, he was going through these areas, and that was his thing. So let's look at here. Here's a pioneer Walker, the pioneer. This must have been from a paper, one of the obituaries, and this is what they wrote back in the day. The Costa Costa California Gazette of recent date publishes a sketch of the life and death of the old pioneer J.R. Walker, who led the first party of prospectors to these mines in 1863. His death occurred at the residence of his nephew, a brother, J.R. Walker of Hathaway and Walker of Prescott, which is Prescott, Arizona. Here is the count given by the Gazette. Joseph Redford Walker, the old mountaineer, died last week at the residence of his nephew, James T. Walker, with whom he had his home for 10 years or more in the Usinco Valley. I guess that's what it's called. Uncle Joe, as he was more familiarly known, was born in 1798 near the present site of the city of Knoxville, Tennessee. Well, we already talked about where he was born. Where there were but few scattered white settlements in then Indian wilderness. When still in his minority, he took up his abode in the further frontier of the Missouri afterward, engaging in the Santa Fe and then in the fur and Indian trade, and pursuits in which he continued during all the period of his active life. With keen perceptions and habits of close observation, his intuitive and acquired knowledge of the mountains, geography, and characteristics of the Indian tongues, nature, and habits, and all else that pertains to the frontier life and experience. Few, if any, among the famous explorers who pioneered paths over the trackless plains living between the Mississippi and the Pacific were better known than for the prudent, courageous, and enterprising successful leadership in expeditions calling for such qualities. The deceased pioneer first visited California, where we believe about 1832, coming down this way from some of his tributaries of the Columbia, and on his way out found the pass in the Sierras, which together with the river, mountain, and valley are now called by his name. During his later years, Mr. Walker was very feeble, but he has always been tenderly cared for by his nephew and family. His remains were attended to their final resting place in the Alhambra Cemetery by the Lar Renute of the family and friends and neighbors. Well, anyway, there you go. That's one of them. Here's another one. Walker, a Redford guide in Knoxville, Tennessee, died in Ezekiel Valley, Costa County, California, 27th October, 1876. He will be removed to Jackson County, Missouri in 1818, began his career as a guide on the frontier in 1822. Served in that capacity with Captain Bonneville, his expedition to the Rocky Mountains in 1832, and conducted a party from the Great Salt Lake to California in 1833, when he discovered the Yosemite Lake and Valley and the river that bears his name. Found Walker's Pass in 1834 and made his subsequent trips across the plains. He resided in Contra Costa County, California during his later life. And as you can see here, here's a monument to him. We'll blow that up a little bit. Captain Joseph R. Walker, the monument erected in his honor in his contributions as a soldier, mountain man, and explorer, who through his efforts and those of his breed, such as Jim Bridger, Thomas Fitzpatrick, Jedediah Smith, helped explore and open the way to the West. There are many areas through the West that bear the Walker name due to his efforts. Captain Walker is buried in this cemetery. This monument is dedicated to Joseph R. Walker on this 10th day of September, 1988. Well, how about that? And as you can see, here's his tombstone. Captain Joseph R. Walker, born in Tennessee, died December 13th, 1790, or born in the 13th of 1798. And it just goes, immigrated to Missouri in 1819, to New Mexico in 1820, Rocky Mountains 1832, California 1833, and camped at Yosemite November 3rd, 1833. Died October 27th, 1876. 77 years, 10 months, 14 days. Huh. Ain't that something? There he is.
One of the things that for some reason it gets ding, Yosemite. Yosemite is more in the middle to the northern section of California. For folks who have not been out west to California, California is one hell of a long state. We drove almost 2 days and we got down to San Francisco, north of San Francisco, and cut across the state, which is beautiful. Love the northern part of the state. Um, so, when people think of California, unless you hear of where in California, they think San Diego and down around LA and that kind of thing. But there's a whole nother section to California where all the big redwoods and everything are in the northern part of the state. It's totally different up there. And so, so when they went to California, there was a lot of California for them to go to, is where what I'm trying to get at. And the Yosemite section, versus the southern part. So it shows that trail that goes up and then back down and then all the way back down again. Well, Yosemite's halfway in the middle kind of thing. So they were cutting across, getting into California. For folks who are in the east of the Mississippi River that have never had a chance to go to California, I still wouldn't want to move there, but it is absolutely worth the trip to go to Northern California and to see the giant redwoods. It is absolutely worth the trip to if nothing else, do that. But there is all different kind of biosphere in Northern California. The fact that they were making, and my other point about when they say the Sierra Nevadas, having been there into Montana, and when you're sitting there and you look west and there's nothing but this wall of mountains with snow on it. As far as the eye can see, north and south, ain't nothing but this giant mountain range. And up to that point, you've had some mountains and this and that, but when you get out there, to Montana and Nevada and come along that divide, it's huge. You can't imagine it until you see it, right? So the fact that these guys were on horseback with a few wagons looking at each other going, how are we going to get through that? Further east.
I know.
Further east, the mountains are bad, but when you see that wall of mountains, it's like, I could see where those guys are going. Are you sure we can get through that mess right there? And they ended up doing it. So more power to them. It's just amazing. But the little bit of time I was out west to be able to see how monumental it is, So anybody get a chance?
Yep.
Go see it,
let's see.
But then come back.
So you want to see some of my home video pictures or whatever I got? Yeah. Let's see. Home movie or my home pictures of my trip to the mountains. We'll just do this. We'll just go through this. So, when you're out there, this is one of our camps. Me and my buddy went. We have one little tent. That's it. And, you got a bucket to hold water, collapsible bucket. You got a coffee pot, ring to. Yeah, this is it. This is what camp is. It's not extravagant. People think, we're going to set up tents and do all this stuff. You got a box with some food, some freeze-dried food or whatever. And look at this. This is the scenery. I mean, it is pretty nice. It's beautiful, trees everywhere. It just goes on for miles, and there's a river right through here. Let's see. And of course, here's the dogs. And like you said, we had unsaddled the horses and we had a hammock and we had a tent, you know, and the dogs are out there. They were dead dog tired. You get it? Dead dog tired.
Yep. Yep.
And in the big giant trees. Now, this is the funny part. Look at all the trees around, but look at these trees. This is the one thing that we didn't know is, okay, so here's a tree. How am I going to campfire that? How am I going to use this for I can't, because it's just too big. I didn't bring a saw.
Oh,
I didn't know.
That one leaned. Oh, that one leaned. Yeah.
But look at the size of these trees when they did fall down. You know, and the branches. The only thing you can get is the branches that you could break off. Which really, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm bringing a saw next time. You know what I mean? So anyway, let's move on. More of our camp.
A good camp saw. Yep. A good camp saw is worth every bit.
Yeah, we didn't bring an axe. We didn't bring a camp saw. I thought, oh man, that's going to weigh a lot. I ain't bringing that. Should have brought a saw, brought an axe. Since then, I've acquired those things. And then, of course, you tie your horses really close to you, you know, so they don't run off in the middle of the night. And you find a tree that's bent over and you use that as a hitching rail. You know. So, and there you get out to the lake and it's beautiful. Oh my gosh. You know, it is just unbelievably beautiful.
Water cold? Water cold?
Yeah, water's nice and cold. Just a broken off tree, but it was beautiful. The shore wasn't bad either. I mean, the water just didn't drop off. You know, you could wade out there, you know, but it was cold unless you want to freeze your butt off, you know. A little creek right next to it. There might have been some fish in there, but I didn't know how to fish. So, but there you go. Beautiful, isn't it? Big Salmon Lake in the Bob Marshall Wilderness.
In what state? In what state?
Montana.
Okay.
You know, and Montana is another one of those states that when you start driving through it, take you all day to get through it.
Mm-hmm.
It's where the other Loch Ness monster lives that nobody's ever seen. Put it that way. Not much here.
They don't have alligators.
But everything's rocky. You know,
they don't have alligators up there.
No, but you go around, you're thinking, see, this was one of those things that you're going around, you're looking for dirt. But this is why I think this is why they call it a rocky. Everywhere you go, it's like somebody came along and put down gravel everywhere. There's gravel everywhere. You know what I mean? Where's the dirt? There's just gravel. Gotta laugh at that because we're like, oh, you know, I wonder why they didn't live here, because there's no place to plant a garden. There's not enough dirt to plant a garden. The rocks go right down into the lake and the river and everything. There's rocks, as you can see, if we go back, rocks, you know, rocks. See, here's the rocks, and they're along the shore. It's like somebody came along specially and just put rocks, you know. If you want to look at rocks, you see how you can see it goes in the water. It's just all big gravel bed. You know, it's crazy. Beautiful, but crazy. And same rocks everywhere. And it's like, and then you find a piece of wood that you could probably use for campfire wood, but it's so thick. And somebody broke off all the branches already. And you're like, oh no, what do I do? There I am. I haven't aged a day, have I?
Now, was that this trip? Now, was that this trip, or was that?
That was 2018.
Okay.
Oh, the sun's shining bright. Okay. Beautiful. This sunset. When the sun sets, it goes behind the mountains. It gets cold, like right away. This is like August. Yeah, that sun goes down, it gets cold. Then it gets dark fast. It is really beautiful, though. It was so calm.
But did you find that there was a a long twilight.
Yes. See, so like right now, the sun went down below the mountains, but it'll stay light for a little while. Yeah, afterwards. And you're like, oh, well, must, day still hasn't ended. It was beautiful. It's really thick. If you can see this, we'll go back. This is the way the woods is. It's all scrub brush like this. So it may look like big giant trees out there, which they are, but trying to get through that thick stuff is really
hard.
You know what I'm trying to say?
Oh, yeah.
You'd think,
yeah.
Walk through the woods. Now, the pioneers didn't have the nice trail that I had to ride on. They had to walk through this brush. You want to go somewhere, everything is going to be just like this. There's no clear spot. Nobody made a trail before you. And there we are, horses and stuff all tied out. But yeah, this brushy stuff. Oh my gosh, that was so hard to walk through or go out into the woods. Just navigating, 100 yards from the camp was terribly hard. My buddy, a little camp and a campfire. The dogs sitting around resting. They were so tired from walking. They didn't want to walk too much. They came into camp and they just laid down. And we're pretty much packed up. You can see the tents all folded up and stuff like that. Horses are getting ready to get saddled. It's early morning, probably about 9 o'clock. Getting ready to head on out. But this is as we rode along, but there'd been a fire through here. And as you can see, once the fire comes through and burns this stuff, it takes years for these trees to grow back. Years and years, because there's, nothing but rocks there. So once the, fire goes through, it takes, how many umpteen years for a seed to get in there and actually grow another tree. And then the trees start coming back. You can see here some of the areas. But yeah, this part wasn't so fun because the dirt, you can see the dirt, the dust under the horse's feet there. Every time they took a step, poof, 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 and it was so dusty. You can see the dog kind of covered in dust too. And we were nonetheless covered in dust too. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And yeah, so this is kind of what we rode through. And the dogs are tired. At least, see, we had a nice trail to ride. I can't imagine what those settlers had to do. There was no trail already mapped out. They're riding through the woods. There's no grass really for the animals to eat. There wasn't nothing for the horses to eat, more or less any deer or anything like that, especially through the burnt areas, which was quite a bit of it. There's this brush, but you can see there's like no grass on the ground. We get down there, there's no grass, none, just this brush, and brush. It looks green because of the trees, but it's all brush.
And that's deer and moose are browsers.
Yeah, no wonder why.
And that's how they can survive.
Yeah, they keep walking.
They're not racers.
Yeah, they walk and move and eat, and walk and move and eat. Beautiful trees, beautiful scenery. I mean, big, giant. These trees here, this tree here, you couldn't wrap your arm around it. That's how big it was. Don't look it, but it's huge. Like I said, that's just huge. They're just huge trees. Even if I was out there pioneering to cut that tree down and make a cabin out of it, I couldn't do it because it's too big. I couldn't move it. I'd have to use the little trees. You know what I'm saying? And again, you can see the dust. And then, of course, you're riding through that dust. Oh, my gosh, the dust, the dust, the dust. And then as you can see over here on the top of the mountain, we get over here, and it kind of looks like fog. That's the smoke coming in. That's smoke from the fires. And we had to, you know, and of course you're breathing in the smoke. The horses are making dust. Oh, it was terrible. At least the forest is growing back. And yeah, long, long trail. Dusty, dusty, dusty. Beautiful, beautiful rocks.
Happy trails.
And then we get to the river. And we're like, hey, this looks like a good place to camp. And you look down the river. There was something I was taking a picture of. I think there was a deer down here somewhere. Down here somewhere. It might have been a deer. I don't know. I was taking a picture of it, but it was beautiful there. I think we camped right there because it was close to the river, and it was really pretty. But again, the shores of the river, all rocks. And of course, we had this little area where we camped at that had sand, amazingly. And so we were like, hey, it's not rocks. Not sleeping on rocks tonight. And you got lots of these little creeks like this. You can see the water flowing into the big river, feeding it, which was really cool. Yep. Little coming out of the mountains from springs. There's tons of springs in those mountains. Just water pouring right out of the cracks of the rocks. It's really cool. Yeah. I'd like to go back there someday just to visit. Not to live, but just to visit. But yeah. Took too many pictures. Yeah, see, and we camped there. And here's where we pulled into the camp. And as you can see, the horses are still packed. We tied them up. The dogs are laying in the thing, and we were tired. And we're like, I took a few pictures, and they're like, okay, just like you said, we have to unpack the horses, and then we can get the camp, going. And dogs. Here's one dog. That's Ariel. She found herself a home under a branch or a bush out of the sun. Another, they're just laying there and collapsed. They're too tired to move. Yep. Couldn't leave them behind, and here we are at the camp. The dogs are like, I don't want to do anything. Oh.
Okay, here we are, going for a ride up in the mountains again. We picked up a straggler, Todd, and he is going with us. So this is our day. Okay, we're on this trail on whatever mountain this was. I don't remember. Green Mountain. Green Mountain. We're on Green Mountain. All right. Well, all is good.
My camera skills have definitely improved.
Here's our view, Green Mountain.
Yeah, the Patterson field. And you gotta ride his horses out there, and the 6mm camera.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, who knows? I don't think it's real, but could be. It does kind of convincing, but kind of not. So they did find a guy 30 years later, 40 years
Look,
later.
berries.
Huh?
Berries.
Berries. Anyway, found a guy. They claimed he's the one.
As you can see, we got a nice trail to ride on. unlike the pioneers. As you can see, the forest is very dense. Anywhere off the trail is going to be super hard to go through. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
Here's on top of the mountain. You can really see out there.
There's the dogs having fun. Well, we're in the mountains, kind of smoky.
It was definitely smoky.
Was that a wilderness area? Was that a wilderness area?
The what?
Was it a wilderness area? Was it a wilderness area?
This was the Bob Marshall Wilderness. Bob Marshall Wilderness is huge. See, now, so like from here, if you look into the background, way back here, this over here is Glacier National Park. So on the other side of these mountains is Glacier National Park. We didn't go over, you can go way over to this area here and see it better, but we didn't. We went about halfway. This trail here goes alongside this mountain, and it doesn't look bad, but it's steep. Anything off of this goes like hundreds of feet down. You don't want to fall. It's like right on the edge of the cliff, and it goes all the way around and then all the way over and down. You know, you can kind of see where this line is way over here. See, here's the trail right up here. You know, so it's way up, and we went all the way around like that. It's pretty steep. It is pretty steep. You have a problem, you're gonna get killed. That's the guy we picked up, and he says, "I'll go with you guys." Took him for a ride. He was just out camping and hiking. Yeah. As the higher you get on the mountain, the less trees there are too. The trees get smaller too. Don't know why, but they do. Less air up there, maybe. You know? Yeah. Really pretty though. Oh, you can really see the trail here. You really go like this. You can see that trail right up on the top of that mountain. That would have been I don't think we got that far. I think we turned around just before that. Yeah. So we're on the other side looking back at where we came from. There's a trail on this side of the mountain. As you can see here, here's where we came from, and the little line there, this is the trail. Yeah, there we are again. There I am. Good selfie. Dogs are tired. We got back to camp, but the dogs they've had it. And this is where we were at the campground, and they actually had a horse feeder there for the hay, and we fenced off a little area here for the horses at night so they could walk around with an electric fence, which is really good. We watched movies on the computer while we drank some coffee and made our dinner. Slept in a hammock at night. Had our little tent, some campfire chairs. And there was a couple other campers there too. And in this thing here, where we got our food, this is a bear box. So at night, the campground provides you with this square box, and it locks so that the bears can't get in it. You put all your food in there, just in case. There's the old truck. Still got the truck. Some campers. And then our camp. We took over the place. Oh, yeah. Sure did. And there we go, all dusty and dirty, but I think this is the part where we were headed out. Now, loaded up and headed out. That was our campsite. Oh yeah. Like I said, when we got to the campground and there was a picnic table there, that was heaven. that was the when we knew we were back to civilization, when we could sit on a flat surface. So I can't imagine what the pioneers thought, back in the day. Oh, this is just pictures of the truck, our setup. Don't know why I took too many pictures of that. Again, the look at the rivers, we got all that gravel. You know what I should have done is pan for gold. Never did. Oh, this is North Dakota ride, so we're done with that. All right. So you done prior to my what'd you think of all of that?
Oh yeah.
Sorry to bore you with my pictures, but it just kind of gives you that. What I'm trying to express here is what it tells you about the area out there. When these guys went out west and into the mountains, you got rocks and more rocks, and you're looking for wild critters, and it's dense. The forest is hard to navigate through. Like I said, if we didn't have a trail to walk through or on, it would have been grueling. I don't know how they made miles every day. I can't imagine. Oh boy, there's no trail and we're walking along this mountain. If the horse makes one bad step, it would just fall down the mountain. So, when they say, "Oh, we got horses across the Sierra Nevada mountains," that was a huge feat, because they were carving that trail for the first time. Saying my horse didn't fall down the mountain. I found a path that I could follow that I didn't get killed. Right?
And sometimes they were taking a pickaxe and a shovel to hack something along. They might have had good clearance, and then they got to a spot where they couldn't do anything. They'd get out a pickaxe and hack them a place through so they could keep going rather than turn around and go back. So they might have got 3/4 of the way, and then they'd have got their pickaxes out and finished up so they could keep going.
Probably. I don't know how they did it. I mean, and to find a pass, because like out there, you could be going along and then just run into a big rock wall and then go, oh crap, now where do we go? I look down this way and that way, and it's all rocks as far as the eye can see. Cliffs and gullies. And do we go through the valley here and then straight up that mountain? That ain't a good trail. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
You can't climb them mountains. Like I said, when we were riding, you're riding alongside that mountain for a long time and trying to find, you just don't go up and over anywhere.
Nope.
So anyway, enough of my jabbering. I see you're got some cards pulled by now, but we're gonna get to the story. So as soon as I pull it up. Boom, green giant. Oh, green giant. No, it's the giant with the green feather, or the gray feather.
Giant with the gray feather. And so for those of you who may be wondering, let's see, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 7 cards. Now, let's see if you can choose
Oh,
which of the 7 cards.
okay, get your picks in, everybody. I think I'm going with grizzly or bear, grizzly bear. I'm going with eagle. I am going with badger. Going with badger and with owl. So there you go. There's some of my picks.
Well, you lost already.
Yeah, badger, owl. I think I'm gonna go with deer. Deer. I'm gonna go with deer too. So anyway, there you go. Yeah. Anyway, here we go. It's all yours, man. You ready? Anytime you are.
Let me get a little drink of coffee.
Elk, beaver, and weasel. Good choices. Don't pick any of the ones I picked because they're wrong. Good choices, Lucky Stone. I don't know if it's that, but I'll keep that to the side so I know what's what. Oh, all righty.
So, our storytelling for tonight is I'm still reading from the book that been reading from now for quite a few months now, Glooskap's Country and Other Indian Tales by Cyrus McMillan, 1922. And this particular story tonight is The Giant with the Gray Feathers. Once long ago, when the Blackfeet Indians dwelt on the Canadian plains, there was a great famine in all the land. For many months, no buffaloes were killed, and there was no meat to be had at any price. One by one, the old people dropped off because of lack of food, and the young children died early because there was no nourishment, and there was great sorrow everywhere. Only the strong women and the stronger warriors remained alive, but even they gradually grew weaker because of the pinch of the hunger sent into the land by famine. At last, the chief of the tribe prayed that the great chieftain of the Indians might come into his territory to tell the people what to do to save themselves. The great chief was at that time far away in the south country, where the warm winds were blowing and the flowers were blooming. But one night he heard the chief's prayer borne to him on the winds, and he hastened northward, for he knew that his people on the plains were somehow in dire distress. Soon he arrived at the village of the hungry tribe. "Who has called me here?" he asked. "It was I," answered the chief. "My people are all starving because there are no buffaloes in the country, and if you had not come, we should soon have all perished." Then the great chief looked upon his people, and he noticed that the old folks and the little children had disappeared. Only a few children were left, and they had pinched the cheeks and sunken eyes. And he took pity on them and said, There is a great thief not far distant. He is probably a wicked giant. and he has driven all the buffaloes away. But I will find him, and soon you shall have food." And the people were all comforted, for they knew that the great chief would keep his word. Then the chief took with him the young chief's son and set out on his quest. The people wanted to go with him, but he said, "No, we shall go alone. It is a dangerous duty, and it is better that, if need be, two should die in the attempt than that all should perish." They journeyed westwards across the prairies towards the great water in the west. And as they went, the youth prayed to the sun and the moon and the morning star to send them success. Soon they came to the rolling foothills covered with sweet grass and scrubby pine, but still they saw no signs of buffalo. At last they reached a narrow stream, on the bank of which they saw a house with smoke from the chimney. "There is the cause of all our troubles," said the chief. "In that house dwells the giant buffalo thief and his wife. They have driven all the animals from the prairies until not one is left. My magic power tells me it is so." Then, by his magic power, he changed his companion into a sharp-pointed, straight stick, while he himself took the shape of a dog, and they lay on the ground and waited. Soon the giant and his wife and their little son came along. The boy patted the dog on the head and said, "See what a nice dog I have found. He must be lost. May I take him home?" His father said, "No, I do not like his looks. Do not touch him." The boy cried bitterly, for he had long hoped for a dog of his own, and his mother pleaded for him so hard that at last the giant father said, "Oh, very well. Have your own way, but no good can come of it." The woman picked up the stick and said, "I will take this nice, straight stick along with me. I can dig roots with it to make medicine." So they all went to the giant's house. The giant frowning angrily, the woman carrying the stick, and the boy leading the dog. The next morning, the giant went out and soon came back with a fat young buffalo, all skinned and ready for cooking. They roasted it on a spit over the fire and had a good meal. The boy fed some meat to the dog, but his father, when he saw what the boy was doing, beat him soundly and said, "I Have I not told you the dog is an evil thing? You must obey. You must not disobey me." But again the woman pleaded for her boy, and the dog was fed. That night, when all the world was asleep, the dog and the stick changed back to their human form and had a good supper of what was left of the buffalo meat. And the chief said to the youth, "The giant is the buffalo thief who keeps the herds from coming to the prairies. It is useless to kill him until we have found where he has hidden them." So they changed back to the shape of dog and stick and went to sleep. The next morning, the woman and her boy set off to the forest near the mountain to gather berries and to dig up medicine roots. They took the dog and the stick with them. At noon, after they had worked for some time, they sat down to have their luncheon. The woman threw the stick down on the ground, and the boy let the dog run away among the shrubs. The dog wandered to the side of the mountain. There he found an opening like the mouth of a cave. Peering into the place, he saw many buffaloes within, and he knew that at last he had found the hiding place of the giant's plunder. He went back to the woman and the boy and began to bark. This was a signal agreed on with his companion. The woman and her son thought he was barking at a bird, and they laughed at his capers as he jumped about. But he was in reality calling to his comrade. The stick understood the call and wiggled like a snake through the underbrush to the dog's side, unseen by the boy and his mother. Then they entered the large cave in the side of the mountain, and there they found a great herd of buffaloes, all the buffaloes that had been driven from the prairies. The dog barked at them and snapped at their heels, and the stick beat them, and they began to drive them quickly out of the cavern and eastward toward the plains. But they still kept the shape of dog and stick. When evening came and it was time for the boy and his mother to go home, the boys searched for the dog and the woman looked for her stick, but they could not find them, and they had to go home without them. Just as the woman and her son reached their house on the bank of the river, the giant thief was coming home too. He chanced to look to the east, and there he saw, far away, many buffaloes running towards the foothills where the sweet grass grew. He was very angry and cried out loudly to his son, "Where is the dog? Where is the dog?" "I lost him in the underbrush," said the boy. "He chased a bird and did not come back." "It was not a bird he chased," said the giant. "It was one of my buffaloes. I told you he was an evil thing and not to touch him, but you and your mother would have your way. Now my buffaloes are all gone." He gnashed his teeth in a great rage and rushed off to the hidden cave to see if any of the buffaloes were left, crying as he went, "I will kill the dog if I find him." When he reached the cave, the chief and the youth, still in the form of a dog and a stick, were just rounding up the last of the buffaloes. The giant rushed at them to kill the dog and to break the stick, but they sprang upon an old buffalo and hid in his long hair, and, clinging on tightly, the dog bit the buffalo until the old animal plunged and roared and rushed from the cave, bearing the chief and the youth concealed on his back. He galloped eastward until he reached the herd far away on the prairie, leaving the giant far behind to make the best of his anger. Then the chief and the brave youth took their old form of men, and in high spirits they drove the herd of buffaloes back to the hungry people waiting patiently on the plains. The people were very pleased to see the great chief and the youth returning to the village with the great herd of fat buffaloes, for they knew now that the famine was ended. But as they drove the animals into a great fenced enclosure, a large gray bird flew over their heads and swooped down upon them and pecked at them with its bill and tried to frighten them and drive them away. The great chief knew by his magic power that the gray bird was none other than the giant thief who had stolen the buffaloes and who had changed himself into a bird to fly across the prairies in pursuit of them. Then the chief changed himself into an otter and lay down on the bank of the stream, pretending to be dead. The gray bird flew down upon him, for he thought he would have a good meal of fat otter. But the chief seized him by the leg and, changing back to his own form, he bore him in triumph to his camp. He tied him up fast to the smoke hole of his tent and made a great fire inside. The giant cried, spare me, and I shall never do you more harm." But the chief left him on the tent pole all night long, while the black smoke from the fire poured out around him. In the morning, his feathers were all black. Then the chief let him down and said, "You may go now, but you will never be able to resume your former shape. You will henceforth be a raven, a bird of ill omen upon the earth, an outlaw, and a brigand among the birds, despised among men because of your thefts. And you will always have to steal and to hunt hard for your food. And to this day, the feathers of the raven are black, and he is a bird of ill omen upon the earth because of his encounter with the great chieftain long ago." The end. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Well, it's still a blackbird. And before I I pulled cards earlier, and so here are the cards that I pulled, and see if any of yours are in here. So first card out tonight is Rabbit upside down. Fear. The next card up is Crow, which it's not Raven, but Crow. And so and Crow is the bearer of the keeper of medicine. Keeper of the medicine. The next one up is Horse, all about the power. The next one up is Antelope. There isn't deer, but there's antelope. So similar. The next card up is Hawk. The next card is Dragonfly upside down. And I'm not sure of the next two cards. It should be Moose, but Lynx was right there as well. So Moose upside down or Lynx upside down, or maybe both of them. I'll find out when I get there. So did y'all have any of them there cards? Then you too have won a prize.
Oh yeah.
Now,
Get
don't know what the prize is, but Robert's number 30 in the book. And it is about fear. So, scared little rabbit, please drop your fright. Running doesn't stop the pain nor turn the dark to light. So, rabbit is all about fear. And so, the paralyzed feeling which rabbit experiences when being stalked is rabbit in the contrary position. If you have tried to resolve a situation in your life and are unable to, you may be feeling frozen in motion, like a deer in the headlights. Okie doke. It could also indicate the need to stop and take a rest. It will always indicate a time when you need to reevaluate the process you are undergoing and to rid yourself of any negative feelings, barriers, or duress. Simply put, you cannot have your influence felt until you rearrange your way of seeing the present set of circumstances. There is always a way out of any situation. Take a hint from Rabbit, burrow into a knife-safe space to nurture yourself and release your fears. The next card up is number 24. Let's see. I got to go this way. Crow is law. Dead crow is left-handed guardian. If you look deeply into crow's eye, you will have found the gateway to the supernatural. Since crow is the keeper of sacred law, crow can bend the laws of the physical universe and shape-shift. This ability is rare and unique. All sacred texts are under the protection of crow. All sacred texts are under the protection of crow. Creator's Book of Laws or the Book of Seals is bound in crow feathers. Crow is also the protector of the Oglala or the sacred words, or the sacred record, excuse me. So, crow is an omen for change. So, rabbit is saying, get rid of your fear, stop and take a breath. And here's crow showing up, who is an omen for change. Not a bad omen, but for change. Crow lives in the void and has no sense of time. The ancient chiefs tell us that crow sees simultaneously the three fates, past, present, and the future, all at the same time. Crow merges light and darkness, seeing both inner and outer reality. If crow medicine appears, you must pause and reflect on how you see the laws of the Great Spirit. Now, rabbit card upside down said, okay, we're going to take a stop here. And crow says right here, to take a pause and reflect on how you see the laws of the Great Spirit in relationship to the laws of humanity. Remember that crow looks at the world first with one eye and then the other. You must put aside your fear of being a voice in the wilderness and call the shots as you see them. So fear with rabbit upside down saying, stop being fearful. And there's crow right there. So there's two get over your fears cards in a row. So man up or wom up, depending on how that might go. The next card up is number 35, which is horse. And horse is power. And so it's like horse is physical power and unearthly power. In a shamanic practice, horse enables shamans to fly through the air and in such can reach heaven. So horse was brought to North America, and so with it was brought the power of it. In understanding the power of horse, you may see how to strive for a balanced medicine shield. So there are two fears: rabbit, get out of your fear; crow, who's the keeper of the great medicine, and here's horse, who's saying, to stand up and strive for a balanced medicine shield. All right, moving forward. And then antelope is number 37, which is two pages down. And so there's the power of horse, and antelope is all about action. So those two are get over your fear. Crow, pay attention to the ancient medicine. Horse has got the power to help you, and antelope is to take action. And humans learned antelope's lesson well. Because of the antelope, humans took proper action and survived to the present day. Antelope signifies knowledgeable action. So you're not going to sit still and just tap your feet. Antelope is the symbol for the antenna of your hair, which attaches you to great mystery by its long cords of light. Looking at antelope, you become aware of your mortality and the short time span you have on this planet. Antelope powers have been courted and shamanized since the dawn of time. Antelope clans have been many, and the power of antelope people is great. Always listen to what antelope has to say to you. Antelope in your cards indicates a message of higher purpose. Antelope arms you with the bow of authority and forces you to act on behalf of yourself, the family, the clan, the nation, and finally, Mother Earth. Antelope says, do it now, don't wait any longer. Horse is giving you the power. Antelope says, do it now. And both other cards are like, get over your fear, right? The next card up is Hawk, which is number 2 in the book. And all of these have been right side up, by the way. Hawk is akin to Mercury and is the messenger of the gods. So life is the initiation. If you pull the Hawk card, then right now a clue about the magic of life is being brought to you. And Crow's the keeper of the magic, right? So here's Hawk the messenger, right side up. It is intuitive ability to discern the message carried within the cry of the hawk. Ancients recognized this magnificent bird of prey as a messenger, bringing tidings to their earth walk. The good red road from the world of the grandfathers and grandmothers who lived before them. So Hawk is bringing messages. The next card up which is down, is number 27. So Hawk's bringing a message. If Hawk is circled and landed in your spread, you are to be aware of signals in your life. So pay attention to what's coming up, right? Dragonfly, number 27. And I can't remember what dragonfly, illusion. So the one card upside down, dragonfly is number 27, is the illusion. Dragonfly is the essence of the winds of change. So, it was already showed in the beginnings of this, to be, that get ready for change, right? Rabbit saying, hold still to watch. Crow saying, this is the time for change. Horse is giving you the power to see it. Antelope's telling you to get up off your tuchus. Hawk saying, there are messages coming in the wind. And here's Dragonfly with the illusion. Now it is upside down. So, follow Dragonfly to a place inside your body where magic is still alive. So the upside down contrary is that somehow you've lost your magic. And guess what? There's Crow, the second card in, that's the keeper of the magic. So this strength belongs to you. It is the power of becoming the illusion. This ability is ever changing and contains within it the knowledge that you are creating it all. So leading up to all this is saying, hey, you're going to be the creator of whatever the changes are coming. Be aware of what's coming. And the next card up is Moose upside down. So far, all of this is all positive information, in my humble opinion. Changes here. Be aware of it. There's sacred knowledge coming. And Moose is about self-esteem. And so if Moose is upside down when you draw it, you're being reminded that ego can ruin your sense of accomplishment. So all of these things are setting you up for change, for enlightenment, for messages. And then Moose wants to remind you that, oh, by the way, others have the same potentials that you have. And so do not become careless in your appreciation of their gifts. Okay? Reverse Moose implies that in tooting your own horn, you have failed to be interested in others. And that can be a big sense of foolishness on your part, because the core of Moose medicine, knowing the wisdom of silence, so that when it is proper to speak, you can take pride in your words. So don't go off half-cocked. Pay attention. There looks like there's interesting things in the cards. So I hope you like them cards. They all seem to be positive. Don't let your ego get in the way.
I thought that there was links in there. There's a dragonfly.
Yeah, well, not after I read the other cards.
Oh, okay.
They kind of came out together, and I was like, but Moose fit. So, how about them apples?
I like them. I like them. A little bit different than last week, but it all come together. Let's see.
Yeah, quit being afraid.
Oh,
Seems to be the key in this, and also with horse, but having the strength. So be curious to see what messages are coming your way. You know, with Hawk in the cards. So everybody just keep an eye out.
Yep. There you go. Hey, looking pretty good. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Big shout out to Susie Q. The Crow 11. Who else is in here? Elderberry. Big shout out to you. Nina the Mystic. Let's see. Lucky Stone. Crystal Shaman. And who else do we got? Chloe. Thank you all for being here tonight. Good big shout out to all of you. So thank you. Don't forget to hit the big thumbs up and give us a like here and promote our show. And remember, everybody, get over there to Nina and pin comment, get your shirt. You can get part of the R. Wayne Steiger shirt collection, just like I got on tonight. And you too can have an R. Wayne Steiger shirt or a Milky Way Soul Tribe shirt or something like that. No, not yet. Dog wants out now. She knows when the show's coming to an end. Anyway, get over there, get some merch. Remember, Nina's got a special on that when you make an order, you can get a free sticker pack. So what a deal. There's plenty of stuff over there. Even if you don't want to wear a shirt, remember, there's the Native American Myths and Legends with V and Hawkeye. So there you go. We got our own shirts and mugs and even a mouse pad. How about that? What do you think of that?
My mouse would just eat it.
Well, you got a coffee. We got our own coffee mug too. There you go. You have to get one of those. So, and if you want to get Hawkeye a shirt or a mug or anything like that for Christmas or his belated birthday present, you get him one. We'll get you his address, email, and the stuff is in the description below. Check it out, and you too can send him one of those. Yes, and new shirt, merch and our store logo. Oops, there we go. So don't hesitate. Yeah, from the new logo on the store now. Yeah, I don't have it pulled up, but I will in a second. But anyway, there's all kinds of good things happening. Over on Nina's Streamlab store. Get over there and get yourself some merch. It is, like I said, there's a little bit of something for everybody. New mouse pad, yes. Remember, Christmas is coming up, so get over there and get yourself something. I'm trying to pull it up right now. But anyway, what do you think of that? Ain't it kind of cool? Did you order a shirt yet?
Who, me? No, not yet.
Or anything? No. Yeah, no, not yet. Oh, well, hopefully, so we'll get you some shirts and some stickers, everybody, because that's what she's got. She's got Nina the Mystic stickers with the Ana Karana on it. There's also Ana Karana shirts there, and things like that. So, big notice: if you guys are part of Gilded is going to be ending, where we post all kinds of things like. What do we post there? We post news, alien reports, show updates, things like that. Get over there and let's see, check it out. But no more Gilded. We're moving to Discord. Discord, I think Nina put a link in the description below here for the Discord. So check that out. It's always good to get on there, and you can see what the updates are, so you don't miss a show if you like it or not. Or hey, somebody might have found something really interesting and just posted it as or you can get in the chat room. So I want to show you that. Remember, we got our own shirts now. I just love this thing about we got our own shirts and stuff. So I kind of lost you there. Anyway, the greatest storyteller on YouTube, Hawkeye Two Feathers. How about that? Yeah, you gotta love it. You gotta love it. Anyway, like I said, shirts are there. They're fairly priced. They got all kinds of sizes. You just click on the sizes. Once you get up to X large, like I said, these aren't too terribly. $30 for a sweatshirt. Or this is a long sleeve tee. Either way, there's sweatshirts too. And again, join us on Discord. Support your favorite YouTuber, which is us. Anyway, enough of the advertising. I just love the fact that we have a selection on Nina's page with shirts. Like I said, if you buy some stuff, then she explains, email her with the order and number, and then you can get a mouse pad, a mug. See, that's what you need. You drink lots of coffee, you need a mug, a sweatshirt, a hoodie. You can get our Beyond Truth shirt or a hoodie. You can get the Milky Way Soul Tribe shirt, supporter, or a mug if you don't, or the R. Wayne Steiger collection. There's a whole bunch of stuff. My favorite one is this one here. Ignorance is a self-inflicted disease easily cured by knowledge. And, as you can see, she still has and there's a Bosto on there. Bosto is a good one. And then we got the wine tumblers with the Anacarana, and the shirts with the Anacarana, and we do not consent ones. So anyway, lots of stuff in here that you can get. Christmas is coming up. Support Nina and support us through the Streamlabs. It's not that hard, right? So, hang out. Discord. You can get go to Discord, hang out after hours, and things like that. Does Hawkeye make anything on the merch? Does Hawkeye make anything on the merch? No, cheapest. We're gonna get him some shirts. Anyway, no, we're supporting Nina, and Nina's supporting us. So it kind of works hand in hand. But at least try to get some shirts, some mugs. If you want to support Hawkeye with some stuff, buy him a shirt, and we'll give you his address and send it to him. That's how you can support Hawkeye, is with a shirt or a mug. Get him a mug, and then you don't have to worry about what size to get because they're all the same. Right? I'm sure he would appreciate it. So, anyway, with that said, enough of the advertisement. You got a show coming up tonight.
No, I don't think so. Not tonight.
Not tonight.
No, right. I just took my meds, and I'm a little on the slow side. This last trip to the hospital has kicked me in the butt. But
really,
yeah, I'm still here.
Well, I'm glad you're still here. I'm you're getting better. You're getting better, right?
Yeah, it's just harder to get up after so many things. I mean, I got bruises on my arms still real bad, and it's just harder to get back up after this. So, but I do have I would show it to you, but I have this new stent in my heart. You know, it's on the x-rays. But no, I'm proud for all the good things that was able to happen in the last 2 weeks. And it's just going to take me a little longer to get back up from this one. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine. Oh, none of that stuff.
Yeah, I am feeling some better. Yeah. Um, it's sort of, it's like my chest feels better. My heart feels better. But there was so much that I went through in that week while I was in the hospital. It just kicks your butt, you know. So then where you feel better is like, wow, gee whiz, my heart ain't killing me, but I'm tired because all the other stuff you put me through, you know. So
yeah.
This jumping up and getting right back on the horse kind of thing is like, I think I'm going to walk beside the horse for a little while. Jumping up is not necessarily on my agenda, but I'm, you know, I refuse to give up. I refuse to give in. I got a doctor's appointment tomorrow. And so, more later.
All right. Well, keep us updated. Hope the doctor's thing goes good. And he says all his thumbs up. And, you know, we'll let you know. We'll let everybody know how you're doing. So it's all good.
Yep.
All good. Well,
and one thing I want to remind everybody is I do continue to pray every day that each and every one of you will continue to learn how to accept and receive the knowledge, the healing, the wisdom, and the many blessings from the universe. And remember to keep the faith and never, never, never give in. Keep the faith. Keep the faith. So believe, 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 believe. And we'll be together next week at this time.
That we will. That we will. Susie Q says rest. Rest. Yes. Yes. And I guess Elderberry can see that you're tired tonight. So, well, thank you so much for joining us tonight. And thanks everybody else who was in the chat and watched the show. Pathfinder. Yes, Pathfinder. Good to see you. There you go. Pathfinder says, there you go. And thank you for all of you for being here tonight. And with that, remember to go out and do something nice for yourself. Do nice things for your neighbors. It all comes to pay yourself back. Remember, treat yourself good so that you can treat others better.
Stay thirsty, my friend.
With that, everybody, remember. Yes, stay thirsty. Anyway, with that, remember to go out and be the frequency you want to receive, everyone. Love you all. Peace, everybody.
Cheers.